Hey there, this is Jordan Smith, and you're watching Bandkind.
Hey, I'm Nick from Bandkind, and I have here with me the one, the only, Jordan Smith. Jordan, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. You're in Kentucky and you got a little bit of snow. Are you somebody who likes to play in the snow?
I actually do love the snow. I actually love cold weather in general. Um,
Really?
and my wife and I both, we really love a good snow day snuggled up at home with the dogs. It's one of our favorite things.
What kind of dogs do you and your wife have?
So we actually have two golden doodles. One is Jane. She's our oldest. She's 4 now. And then he's technically still a puppy. He's only 1. He just turned 1. His name is Bo, and
Oh,
he's a handful. We
yeah,
love him dearly most of the time.
yes.
Um, and so they just have such a funny relationship with each other. They're still figuring each other out, and they don't quite always get along. But it's just funny to see him pick at his older sister and to see them
That
interact
is
with each other.
great.
And we don't have
So,
kids, so we treat our dogs like kids. We're crazy dog people.
of course, we have kids and we still treat our dogs like kids, you know?
How it goes.
and and you're right, we have a 1.5-year-old, and she, I feel like, is staying in that puppy stage way too long.
Yeah, we're trying to usher him in. He's slowly getting there, but
Okay.
we're trying to help him along. I think the fact that we were spoiled with our first dog because she is
Mhm.
so chill. She's so chill. She's
Right.
obedient. She's like
Yes.
so sweet and nice, and he is like a tornado just all the
Yeah.
time. So we're figuring it out slowly.
Well, tell me about how great you are. I mean, you are great. I'll just say that. You've probably heard that joke a lot. But seriously, I love so many songs on that project. And I want to just talk about the recording of that project, going back.
So this all actually fell right in the middle of the pandemic. So it was a
That's what I
really
thought.
interesting process. Most of the songs were written before, and
Okay.
and then the tracking process, getting in, cutting the vocals, having the musicians come in and track these things was a
Yeah.
totally unique process because of that. We had people in their hometowns all over the country that were like
Yeah.
sending us tracks. I think the drummer was in Arizona, and we had keys players in Nashville, and I was working in a producer with a producer spread totally apart in the studio from the other side of the
Yeah.
room whenever we were
Hmm.
cutting vocals. So it was a really interesting process to sort of see those songs take shape, even in an unconventional way, from when they were written until they were finished and released. But it was beautiful because the songs themselves were such an encouragement to me during that time. Like it was so nice to have not only
Yes.
something to work on, but something that was so powerful and meant so much to me. And so singing those songs over and over and
Mm.
listening to those demos as they were coming in and listening to the tracks as they were coming in, it really I think helped carry me spiritually through the pandemic and like keep my
Wow.
spirits up hearing those messages of hope and inspiration like throughout that time. It was really special. And I was like a little selfish that I only had them for myself and I hadn't given them to everyone else yet, but I still
Yeah.
enjoyed them even for myself. They were encouragement. They ministered to me
Well,
myself.
it's funny how Don't Quit during the pandemic was meaningful. And yet, still today, it carries its own meaning all by itself.
Yeah, each one of those songs just they felt like just pieces of me. They were all extremely personal in different ways. Great You Are was sort of my statement of faith. It was like my personal faith anthem that I felt like was really important for me to share with the world. Don't
Yeah.
Quit, I wrote in a very difficult personal time, and I wanted people to have a song that they connected with, to know that it was okay to feel down sometimes and to feel frustrated and to wonder what God is doing sometimes. We don't always see the full picture, but We have to just take the next step. And a song like So Many Reasons, it reminds us to look around and see the beauty that's around us and appreciate all of the wonderful blessings that we have. So they're all so different, but they all feel just deeply personal. And I was grateful to be able to share those songs with the world.
Yeah, I was grateful to take them in. And your voice, like let's talk about you recording that vocal because man, I just feel like, I feel your voice on top of those notes and just like soaring through. I mean, and just powerful, just straight powerful, Jordan. Did you feel like you were just singing into a wall during that time when you were recording that project because it wasn't it done in a traditional way?
Yeah, I loved working with Case and Cooley, who was the producer, and I loved working with these songwriters because so much of the music was written around my voice. It was written for my voice. I was heavily
Yes.
involved throughout the entire creative process. And the songs are special. But as I was cutting these songs and singing these, I began to realize not only are the songs special and the message is important, but these songs being sung by me with my voice
Yeah.
and being so involved creatively was what made them really special. And so
Yeah.
I'm grateful, honestly, for the gift of music. I'm grateful to be able to sing. It's something that I never want to take for granted. My emotions are tied so tightly to my singing and to what I do.
Wow.
Like if I'm ever sick, if I get hoarse or I get so emotional at those times. I feel so like sad and I have a pity party. But it's because so much of my emotions are connected to my voice and
Wow.
singing is such an expression of who I am as a person and as an artist. And
Yeah.
so, you know, having that connection and being able to have a gift from God to be able to sing or to be able to
Mhm.
create or write or play,
Mhm.
it's so
Yeah.
special. And I think it's something that we have to approach always with reverence and with honor and with gratitude that we get to do this.
Wow. Yeah, well said. I definitely know that you have produced your vocal for a very long time. And so you probably can get a song and say, okay, I know what I can do with this or can't do with this. I mean, do you find yourself being able to quickly listen to a song or a demo and say, it's not going to showcase the Jordan Smith voice the way I want it to?
Yeah, it's a process at times. I
Mhm.
had to learn really early on in my career that because I love to sing and I love
Yeah,
all sort of genres of music, I love lots of different kinds of music, and I'm inspired by lots of very different artists. Um,
yeah.
there's a lot of songs that I want to sing. Even though
Wow.
I may not
Yeah,
sound the best on them and they may not be the best for me. And so I think, you have this problem. I've worked with other really great singers before who have this problem of knowing when to take a song, when to, use a song, when to cut the song, and then when to let that one go because it's not the best fit. Because like
right.
everyone's always saying, you can sing the phone book. And that might be
Exactly.
true, but there are certain names that would feel more, organic and expressive and connected than others. So it's like, it's always just a process of sifting through what is a
Yeah.
good song for someone and what is the perfect song for me.
Whew.
What song was made for me to sing.
So before you joined the choir, did you still love singing way back in your Kentucky days when you were young?
Yeah, I always have loved music. Both my parents are musical. My dad plays the piano and sings. My mom plays the piano and sings. One
Mhm.
brother plays the guitar and sings. One brother plays the drums. So I just grew up in a really musical family here at home, and I was really involved in the music of my church, even as a kid, in our youth band. And it was just something that was always a really big part of who our family was. It was part of our family DNA. And I can remember I have like home videos of me like as a kid in my underwear, like looking in the mirror and making up songs to myself. And it was just
Yes.
always something that I loved. And that's why I pinch myself every day because I'm like, I get to do this. This is like it's such a rare thing for people to get to make a career and spend their life doing something that they're so passionate about. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's always just been part of my life.
Mm. So rewinding back to the audition for The Voice, what made you decide to go forward with that? I'm sure your family was instrumental, to use a musical term, in saying, Jordan, do this.
Yeah, so it's such a funny story, and people think I'm crazy when I talk about this. But
Okay.
I knew, I just had a feeling, I just knew that I was going to be on The Voice years before I ever auditioned, before I ever made it onto the show. I just felt a connection with the show. I loved the message of it. I loved the idea of a blind audition, um, because I was kind of like nobody from nowhere, and I didn't have the like pop star look, or I didn't have the right last name. And so for me, I was just so drawn to this idea that normal people could have an opportunity based off of nothing else except for their voice.
Hmm.
And even my girlfriend, who is now my wife, we were dating, and whenever we would be driving down the road, she would hear a song come on the radio, and she would turn up the volume and say, "When you're on The Voice, you should sing this song." Years prior. So we just had this feeling. We just knew. And my parents, like my mom always told me growing up, she's like, "You're special. Like a lot of people are going to want to do what you're going to get to do one day." And so I just always grew up like having this idea that I was made for something unique and that God had put,
Yeah.
purpose in my life. And so
Wow.
I actually auditioned for The Voice the first time just sort of on a whim.
Okay.
I obviously like considered it, but I saw that the auditions were going to be close that weekend. I was in school in Cleveland, Tennessee at Lee University, and auditions were in Nashville that weekend. And so I just signed up and I drove a few hours over to Nashville, and I waited in line like at 4 in the morning with like 7,000 other people, and got to sing 30 seconds in front of a producer. And I got a call back, and I was like, yes, I knew it. This is the moment. Like I've had this feeling all these years. And so I
Yeah.
went to my callback, I did my callback audition, and I never heard anything again. And I remember in that moment, as the time went on, it just started sinking in like, Jordan, maybe you missed it. Like maybe you were wrong. Maybe you just
Mm.
kind of got caught up in this idea of what God might have had for your life, and you didn't stop and take the time to like, really work toward it and really like
Hmm.
maybe it was just like a pipe dream. And so I actually went back. I was still in college, and I just decided to buckle down and focus on my studies and finish school, um, and just do the music thing whatever way I could. And it was
Yes.
like, I think it was like 364 days. Like it was almost an entire year to the day later. I got this email in my inbox, and it was from someone who had seen a video of me singing online. And they said, "Hey, Jordan, I know you don't know me, but I saw a video of you singing. And I was wondering if you had ever considered auditioning for this show called The Voice. I'm not sure if you've heard of it." And they had no idea that I had auditioned the year before. And
Wow.
so I was like, I think I have to try this again.
Yeah.
And I had a whole come to Jesus moment with me and Kristen and my family, where it was like, you were really disappointed last time. Maybe you shouldn't set yourself up for that sort of disappointment again. But I knew I
Mm.
had to do it. And so I went back and I auditioned again. I sang the exact same songs
You're
that I
kidding.
sang the first time. I did everything exactly the same, and I ended up making it onto a blind audition. I made it onto Team Adam, and then I just week by week I kept progressing and progressing and progressing until eventually I ended up winning season 9.
Not only winning season 9, but you were the number one sales on iTunes because of your performance, because of your voice, because of what. And not only were you Team Adam, but all four chairs turned for you. And that had to be another come to Jesus moment.
It was the entire thing was just such a crazy experience. We talk about it a lot, and I always say, I wish I could go back. I wouldn't do anything differently, but I just wish I could go
Okay.
back and live it all again and experience it
Okay.
again for the first time, because it was just such a fun time for my family. It was like every week some new exciting thing was happening. Every week we were at a different position on the charts. Every week another celebrity had tweeted about it, or something else had happened on the show, and I got to meet Rihanna, or I got to meet Dolly Parton, or it was just like every week was some huge exciting thing, and it was so fun for my family, and it was an amazing platform to get to be able to stand on that
Yes.
stage, even as a believer, and just share
Mhm.
the heart of who Jesus has been in my life through music, through interviews, just through, you know, being there in person and exhibiting the love of Christ. So I don't know. I just, in the moment, I never wanted to take it for granted. I wanted to soak it all in, and I wanted to live and be fully
Mm,
present in those moments. And
mm.
yeah, sometimes I wish I could go back.
That's powerful. That definitely is powerful. Is there anything that you take from any celebrity? I guess they're a celebrity coach, right?
Mhm.
That you still have used today?
Honestly, there are a few things, but one thing I really appreciated in my time working with Adam was his dedication to his instinct and going with his gut. Now, for
Wow.
me, I know my instinct and my gut are the Holy Spirit. That's my conscious, like
See?
guiding me and telling me, what step is next. But he never questioned his instinct. He just had this sort of guiding force. He's
Hmm.
extremely musical. He's extremely talented and creative and intelligent. And it was like when he got the idea or when he knew what he wanted, nothing stood in his way. He wouldn't waver. I remember when he brought the song Somebody to Love to me, the Queen song, and
Nice.
told me that I was going to be doing it the next week. Like he brought me that song and said, "You're doing this." And I was like, "I don't think I can. I've never performed like this before. Like this is the biggest song in the world." And
Yes.
he was like, "No, I know it's for you." And so it was sort of this like game of trust between myself and him, um, kind of walking this out together, choosing the right songs, crafting the right performances. And I really walked away trusting myself more through that process.
Wow.
And just trusting that like still small voice in me that's, guiding me and helping me. And that's probably the biggest thing I walked away with from working with him.
That's amazing. Is there any kind of music or genre of music that you find difficult to perform or wrap your voice around?
Um, Obviously, I think like rock, heavy music is not made for my voice because I have like I have a very pure tone. There's no like grit or growl really to my voice, so I find that difficult. I also really tend to shy away, and I've done a couple of things um, from classical music and opera. I studied classical music all through
Ooh,
college. I've
yeah.
taken classical voice. I've studied vocal performance. And I think because I know that world and I know that they are so protective and they're so critical that I'm
Oh,
like, if I
wow.
don't get it 100% right, if your technique is not like totally on point, then you will be raked over the coals. So it's something I've tried to avoid just because I'm like, if I mess up, no one will ever forgive me in the classical music world. So that's
Oh,
one thing I've always like shied away from.
yeah.
But if I do it, I just want to do it right. That's why I've
Yeah.
been hesitant.
Yeah. Wow. That sounds definitely like something to shy away from. You know they're looking for that 100%. I was talking to you just before the interview about the last time I saw you in Orlando, and you and Rhett Walker were kind of giving a story time of sorts.
I remember that.
Super, it was like a Saturday Night Live skit. It was so funny. I loved it. You guys are characters trying to read us a Christmas story.
Yeah, we had too much fun with that. Like it started out as like, oh, let's make a fun video, and by the end, we were like climbing on each other's backs, and we had cut the sleeves out of Rhett's shirt, and we were making like all these jokes and laughing. Um,
Yeah.
but that's exactly what it's like when he and I get together anyway. We just
Yeah.
joke and laugh and cut up the entire time. I think Rhett could be a stand-up comedian if he wanted to be. He's so funny. And I'm just like
I
always trying to keep up with him.
Well, you were great. You guys were a great team, and I do remember that he would come back and just dryly say, "That knocked my sleeves off."
Yeah, and there would just be another
Every
sleeve.
time, a little less sleeve every time. Oh my goodness. Your voice during the Christmas season is like what you were describing earlier about you and your wife cuddling up with the dogs. I can see the fire and the snow falling outside. To me, that you are the voice of Christmas. It's just so beautiful. Do you like singing traditional Christmas carols or do you prefer originals? And I did want to talk to you about Birth of a King. You worked with Tommee Profitt on that. And what was it like to work with him?
Yeah, so it's actually makes me so happy to hear you say that because Christmas music is my number one favorite music to sing,
Really?
perform, to listen to. Um, we love Christmas in our house. We're all about the holidays, and just what they mean. We have a lot of like sentimental family sort of traditions that we have, and lots of really great memories around the holidays. So that obviously as an artist is expressed through music, and I
Yes.
love singing Christmas music. I obviously have songs like You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch, which is totally like just so fun. Almost too fun. I have almost too
Yeah.
much fun with that song. But then also I think that there's such value in Christmas carols. We all know them and
Mhm.
we all sing them, and it's easy to sort of gloss over them. But when you think about the power of that, that someone, maybe people who aren't even like Christians necessarily, know the lyrics to these
Yes.
Christmas carols and they can sing them, and those are songs that like we can always come back to, and they unite us and we're able to sing those together. I think they're so special. And then I
Yeah.
love taking those carols and capturing sort of that sacred moment of that song, and then bringing sort of a modern twist to it too. I've gotten to
Mhm.
rewrite a few of those Christmas carols. I've done Angels We've Heard on High.
Yeah.
We've done Oh Come All Ye Faithful, where we've written sort of a modern chorus version to those songs, and I love
Mhm.
that too. Just being, creatively involved in Christmas music is really fun, and it can be a challenge to write original Christmas music,
Yes.
because there's so much out there, and
Yes.
it's like such a specific, like sector of music that you're like, are there any things that haven't been said already or haven't been done already? So
Right.
it's always a really fun challenge to try and write a new Christmas song. But speaking of the project with Tommee Profitt,
Yeah.
when he approached me about this record, The Birth of a King, I thought he was just sharing with me, this idea that he was excited about as a friend. And I was like, I'm so happy for you. That sounds beautiful. I love Tommy's work. He has the most like beautiful, lush, just huge orchestral arrangements. He makes some of the coolest music. And so um, I was so shocked when he actually asked me to be a feature artist on the project that I was like, are you sure? Like, are you sure that
What?
I'm not gonna mess it up? And so he came up with the most fantastic, beautiful arrangement of "Mary Did You Know," which is a song I
Yes.
already love to sing, um, and made me sing possibly the most difficult highest note ever that I've ever recorded, and it was
And you
just
nailed it.
oh, it was so difficult, but it was so worth it, and it was just such a pleasure to get to work with him. He's so fun, and he loves music.
Really?
It's like music oozes out of his pores. He's one of the funniest guys. Like,
What?
I just laugh always when I'm with him. You wouldn't expect it, but he's
Yeah.
like so fun, and it was a real honor to get to work on that project and be featured on that with him.
Yeah. I think when I, dive into those orchestral arrangements like you were talking about, I can't put that together with somebody who's fun and funny and, it just see, wow. That's
Yeah,
great.
we actually have a tradition when we work together. Because he actually wrote a song with me on the Be Still and Know project. The song Love Lives On, Tommy and I wrote
Yeah.
together.
Oh my
And
gosh. I love, 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 love that song.
yes, and so that's a
Yeah.
Tommy original. And
Wow.
and when we write together or we record together, we always end up recording silly versions of the serious songs. So
What?
somewhere out there, there is a recording of me singing "Love Lives On" in like a Muppet voice. And there's a recording of me singing "Mary, Did You Know," like totally off
Oh,
key, like in a funny way.
oh my
We just
gosh.
we love to have fun.
Wow. I can't imagine. Someday somebody's gonna find that track.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it under wraps for as long as possible.
Well, I am so excited that you're gonna be here with us. Do you have any idea what, your set list is gonna look like?
I'm excited about it. It's always a little different. I'm always tweaking it and changing it just depending on where I am and how I'm feeling that day.
Yeah,
But really at the heart of it is just a love for singing and a love for music.
yeah.
Obviously, I'm going to be singing some songs from this last record. I'm going to be singing some songs that are going to uplift and inspire and all those beautiful things. But at the heart of it is just a night to enjoy music.
Right.
It's gonna feel like an intimate night where I want people to feel like they're coming into my living room and I'm sharing stories of how these songs were written. I'm speaking, from my heart as an artist and as a friend that cares about these people. I always feel so connected to audiences whenever I'm sharing these songs with them because I
Mm,
just know like those people are in that room for a reason. It's not a coincidence. And there'll
right,
never be that combination of people in a room again together again. There will always be someone missing, something will happen, and someone won't be able to come. And so
right.
I always want to take advantage and reverence those moments when we're together. And I want
Mhm.
to bring something of value. So I want it to be something that's fun and that people enjoy, but I want them to walk away having been able to forget about everything else outside those four walls for just an hour and a half, just a couple hours, and
Yeah.
just enjoy and be inspired and get back to the heart of something beautiful.
An opportunity for people to just get away from whatever's happening in their world and embrace music. And don't you feel like music, probably even when you sing it, just brings a peace to yourself, but also just breathes a peace over your audiences?
Yeah, I think music has this really beautiful way, and I've said this for years, a really beautiful way of connecting people to God and connecting people to each other. And it
Mm,
it surpasses language. There are times when we can't express what we feel, but we can play a song or we can turn a song on the radio that just speaks to our heart or makes us, like feel the emotion of what it is, even if we can't explain what it is. And
yeah,
so I think music has a really special power to do that and
I
it's
do
such a
too.
gift from God. And so I'm just excited to be there and to share it with everyone and to be a part of that moment too. Like you said, I also get to experience the peace,
Mm,
joy, and beauty of music in those moments. And I
amen.
sometimes I just step back, and even though I'm the one singing, I just step back and I feel like I get to be an audience of this beautiful thing called music and of worship. And so
Wow.
I'm excited about it too.
Oh my goodness. I am thrilled. It's been so great to talk with you, Jordan. Thank you so much for giving us this time. And man,
Thank you.
I'm so excited.
Me too. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.